There's cables dangling all over the place, there's stuff being taken out and put in. That's highly dangerous. That's when you've got to be really very, very careful.
If anybody ever got hurt, seriously hurt, then I would feel it really badly. These guys are not just employees, they are friends, in fact.
It is critical that you don't have to keep looking over your shoulder to make sure whoever it is doing what they're meant to do to keep you safe.
We have an accident on a ship and BP as a whole, not just BP shipping, but BP as a whole are going to suffer. We have a huge responsibility, and I think this is why we get the backup that we do from BP on safety. There isn't any choice in this. We have to be safe. We have to be the best.
BP Shipping is growing. By 2010, the fleet will have grown to nearly 130 vessels. With this rapid expansion comes an ever-increasing responsibility for safety both afloat and ashore. Never before have global shipping companies like BP Shipping been under such close public scrutiny, both inside and outside the industry, to maintain the highest levels of performance in safety. So how are they living up to those expectations? And what is it that makes a ship safe? This is a journey to discover the reality of safety at BP Shipping, to find out what those at the sharp end really believe makes a ship safe. Talking to some of the winners of the CEO's HSE Awards, working in such a high-risk occupation, how do they achieve such high levels of safety? John Chapman is Chief Engineer of the North West Shearwater and winner of the Individual Award. When he's not at sea, he lives in the Orkneys, a place he feels prepares you well for life on board a boat.
There are quite a lot of parallels between life on Orkney and shipboard life. You have to be tactful and diplomatic. That's part of the way the locals are here. Everybody is related or affiliated to somebody in some way or another.
So how can you tell when you step on board a ship that it's a safe ship?
If the people on board are exuding professionalism and it's clean and tidy, they're generally good indicators, and people being happy as well. If they're in a hacky old boiler suit and they're slouching, they don't really project a good image.
And how does that link into safety? Can you tell from people's faces, from the mood on board the ship? Is it as something as indefinable as that?
Well, the mood tends to come from the top down. They set the pace, so it's their responsibility to make sure that everybody is happy and wants to contribute, and they're committed. Safety is a form of pride, I suppose, really. Nobody wants an accident, and it's intolerable to have them, so we have to be careful. There's many activities you have to perform, but safety is very much a core activity that everything centres around. We don't want to send anybody home maimed or hurt, so we take care, we plan, we discuss. If there's a job we haven't done before, we'll analyse it carefully and see if we can identify any hazards that may occur during the work and mitigate them if possible. Obviously, if it's unacceptable, the risks, then the job won't get done.
The North West Shearwater is a liquefied natural gas tanker transporting from North West Australia to Japan. It can carry up to 127,000 cubic metres of gas at any time. It's also the oldest ship in the fleet and the winner of the Ship Award. I've travelled halfway round the globe off the coast of North West Australia to join the staff and crew of the North West Shearwater. For people like John Chapman, this is a second home. Malcolm Lakey is the captain, and he has over 30 years' experience at sea.
Could you come up to the bridge for a minute, please?
Can you tell me what makes a safe ship?
First of all, there's got to be some commitment from the people on board. I think you've got to have a good safety system working behind you to start off with. People on board, as I say, have got to be committed, and you've got to be able to keep that momentum going. Once you've got people working safely, you've got to be able to keep that going. I think the great thing is that everybody gets along very well together. The team spirit is tremendous. There is, in the time I've been here since last November, there's just been no animosity amongst anybody at all. Everybody's determined to look after everybody else. There is a very relaxed atmosphere on board, I think.
In the journeys that the ship makes, when are the most dangerous times?
Approaching port is the normal time, especially in Japan, where we know for certain it's going to be busy. And on here we have a fairly relaxed time. Coming into Australia here is not particularly stressful. There's not a lot of traffic. We go from that to the coast of Japan, where the level of traffic is astronomical, and it's pretty much the same as driving from a small country village into the centre of London, and that's the sort of levels you look at, and that's when the stress builds up for everyone. Some of it was actually in the gas bottle houses.
Yeah, again, I'll just speak to Dave. He's got the PPE.
Every day he accompanies a different member of the ship's complement for a safety walk.
So the safety chain hanging there.
The idea is to bring a fresh pair of eyes to the Shearwater. Even as the filming was underway, the value of this safety walk became clear.
When I first joined, the daily walk-rounds that were happening, it started to peter off. People weren't doing them every day. They weren't doing them every week. Things were starting to just slacken off. People had got bored with doing it. And I think my taking the decision to actually go around with the crew, showing some interest in what they were doing, and actually becoming part of what was happening was a big influence in getting some of the interest back. It's great for me because I get to talk to people away from the pressures of work and in a completely uninhibited environment, I hope. Make a note that all this fish oil needs cleaning off the deck. It's a slip hazard. It works because we have a fresh set of eyes going around every day, normally to pieces of the ship that they don't look at on a daily basis.
You can see the near miss there.
The day's safety walk guide was Raider Guzman. Almost immediately, he spots a broken eye bolt on a safety chain next to a lifeboat boarding platform over 6 metres above the deck.
We'll take it off and we'll rope it off. Okay? Just lash it off and then we'll tell the chief officer.
The guys at the coalface have the most power. They deliver. They're perhaps more exposed than I am. So it's part of their responsibility to be safe and stay safe. Some of the newcomers are a little nervous, but they do settle into it eventually. And some of the best contributions have come from the crew.
Number 17. Yes, 17.
On board this ship, rank is put aside with the red card system. Anybody has the authority to show this and stop somebody else if they think there's going to be a safety breach.
I'd been on board 2 days, I think, and I thought I'd give it a test. And I walked out of my office, walked onto the flying passage, wearing a safety helmet, but not in a boiler suit, and immediately was red carded by about 12 of the crew. And sent back to the accommodation, and I thought, okay, the system works. That's great. They're not bothered about red carding me, then it's obviously a very good system. I don't think it's something that happens instantly, but certainly within a few days, you know how things are operating, you know how people are operating. You can see the different levels of professionalism in people from ship to ship. Very fortunate here that I came on board and found the most incredible level of professionalism. All of the officers, all of the crew. And that's one of the things that I'd like to state. It's not just the officers. The crew are completely committed to this.
Well, it's lunchtime on board the Northwest Shearwater and a chance for me to chat to the crew when they're not hard at work and to find out exactly what it is that drives their commitment to safety.
Oh, you will practice these things every day. It become part of your lives. Here on board, all of the crew is the first priority of all is the safety. So I like the BP way, you know, in carrying their crews in with their what we call, or should I say, their golden roles. It's united. All the people have good relationship of each other. All the officers and the crew.
And it's that sense of being each other's eyes and ears that is at the heart of this approach to safety, embodied by the winners of the Partners Award, Taj Towing Limited.
You have to achieve a caring community for people to look after each other, brother's keeper. And you know, if you're working together, you're constantly on the lookout for somebody else. I think you know, each person is a leader in his or her own right, and if they are leaders like that, then they're going to look after each other.
So I benefit greatly from working as a small crew. That makes communication easy, and it makes very much for like a buddy system where if anybody sees something going wrong, they will communicate their concerns straight away.
Here in the Firth of Forth, Taj Towing operate 3 tugs which assist large tankers in and out of BP Hound Point Marine Terminal. Now, like any area of the marine industry, towing comes with a very unique set of risks, which the crews here work hard to overcome. So how do they do it?
When you're making fast underneath the bow of a ship, and it's doing 8 knots through the water, you're manoeuvring, and it's at night, and it's wind and weather affecting your judgment and so on. Yes, it is a risky business, and you have to assess that risk and train people so that they can overcome that and work as a team.
When the ship is moving, and when machinery is moving, and when ropes are moving, in other words, when there's dynamic things happening, there's a potential for injury. And we manage that largely having the 3-man crew. The tug is designed and the procedures are designed that we exclude people from the danger areas at key stages in the operation. Particularly, we have a clear deck policy when we're towing. It is only necessary for somebody to leave the bridge, to pass a messenger line to the tanker, and then we'll retreat to the bridge. So while the tow line is moving out, or the tow line is underweight, everybody's in the safety of the bridge.
One of the things that strikes you when you spend any time on board these tugs is the closeness of the relationship that the crew members have with each other, and that safety isn't something that's reserved for the formal safety meeting once a month, but is literally part of everyday conversation.
Well, next to Marinus, sir.
Thanks. There's only 3 of us. We see each other around every coffee time, so we're not out of each other's company like more than a couple of hours. Have dinner together, and it's like if something's seen or noticed, it's always brought up. It's more of a chat than, but we still have like the safety meetings, and we do it formally. But everything's generally known well in advance because it's just the fact you see someone and you just talk about it. It's just second nature, I'd say.
It is interesting because I think in the tug industry, statistically, there is quite a high level of injury. And indeed, I was looking at some just recently where the DAFWIC ratio is moderately high. And that's because we're constantly in collision with ships, we're constantly handling ropes, we're constantly manoeuvring. But here we don't seem to have that sort of problem. Why we're different from others? I think it's really down to the quality of the seafarer. And maybe that's a magical formula.
And back on board the Shearwater, the aim is the same, to keep people listening to safety messages.
We devised a mascot that would speak to the guys through the daily work plan, and he would give out little safety messages. We're doing little poems, we're changing the flavour all the time, just to keep it fresh and alive. It's like a picture on the wall, you just stop seeing it when you're in and out of the house.
These BP Shipping Award winners have exemplary safety records, but they're well aware of the dangers of becoming complacent.
Complacency in a job like this is something you have to fight against. We do a lot of routine, and you do have to watch out for that. You make a conscious effort, but also we benefit from quite a bit of input from the rest of the industry and the rest of BP and the rest of Taj Towing.
All right, no problem. I'll tell them.
And people feed into the system, and if it crosses your desk in a concise form that you can pass on and take in quickly, I think that's a great way of showing what went wrong for other people.
Thanks very much indeed.
And of course, with all their experience at sea, these people know about the realities of the devastating effects of an accident.
You mentioned again there that we got 500,000 man-hours near enough in 40 days without injuring anybody. That's a pretty huge achievement.
Last month, Dry Dock Safety.
Whatever our best intents are, there is bound to be something happens. And we are very, very aware of this. People are doubly careful about what they're doing.
The galley duty mess was not opening correctly.
The thought of an accident or a fatality on a ship I'm serving on does worry me, and I wouldn't ever wish anything like that to happen. So I go, the extra bits I do is to make sure it will never happen, I hope. But it only takes one moment of complacency or being distracted or defocused and it could happen. Keep your finger on the button. I mean, there's a lot of information does flow these days with emails. In fact, too much information sometimes. But if you pick all the little golden nuggets out and distribute those, make sure people are fully aware of what can go wrong, then hopefully they'll watch out in their own parish.
It would be very rare, in my opinion, to say that there was a sort of incident that couldn't have been prevented somewhere along the line. And it's amazing very often how early in the process, when you read an accident report, how early it started going wrong.
I've been fortunate that there's only been a couple of accidents in all the time I've been at sea that I've seen that have been really serious. And each time it makes you think again and revise your thoughts on what's happened and look again, and it adds to your level of experience.
You become determined that that will not happen again, certainly not on your watch, and hopefully on nobody's watch if you can help them out as well, if you can pass that information down the line, save anybody from that. Yeah, we've got to stop it happening again.
You have to learn from your own mistakes and other people's mistakes. Actually, that's where BP Shipping are quite good. When something goes wrong, you know they're going to go into a root cause analysis, and they will then share the lessons learned with everybody, and that's very beneficial.
And it's sharing experience and information that makes a ship safer, whether it's between crew members or between ships. And the role of head office in sharing this information is vital.
BP, of course, have huge resources that we do not have. And indeed, they have people who specialize in safety. Paul Manzi, for example, is the safety man. And what I like about his appointment is that he actually is a seafarer.
I think we get tremendous support from the office with regard to safety. There is no company I suspect better, certainly no shipping company better at supporting us. They need to be very careful about the amount, the sheer volume of HSE stuff that they send to us and how they package it. It would be very nice to have just a quick, simple system which operated in the background without constant change.
I quite understand that they must send out virtually everything that they have. It's for us to filter that which is useful and that which is not useful. So I think simplicity is the most important factor there. to make it relevant and make it simple.
Well, this is part of BP Shipping's head office here in Sunbury, and the men and women here work alongside their colleagues across the globe to provide the very best support for the BP Shipping fleet. Now, it's also the home of the CEO, David Baldry, and I'm here to put some of the issues raised by the award winners to him. One of the most important things that I've taken away from talking to the award winners, David, is how important good, strong and open relationships are when it comes to making a ship safer. Is this something that you hope to develop, particularly the relationship that the fleet has with the head office?
It is so critical that it's seen as one team. And again, you know, if it's not seen as one team, how do you communicate, especially when you've got a lot of water between you and wherever that person's sitting? So you absolutely have to find ways to close that gap and to create strong bonds, strong relationships.
Those at sea that I spoke to really valued the support that they got from BP Shipping's head office, but they also criticised the sheer volume of emails and safety communications that they received from head office. Is this something that you hope to improve on?
There is so much stuff that we have to communicate. There is so much stuff to get out there for people to absorb. But the problem is you'll drown them if you just dump it on them. I mean, I have no answer at the moment, but rest assured, we recognise the issue, we're onto it, we are going to do something about it, and we're going to find a way still to create the same flow of data, but to do it in a way that is somewhat more helpful, I think, than perhaps it feels at the moment.
Do you hope that their stories inspire new people to come forward for next year's awards?
Yes, I'm already incredibly proud walking around St James, our head office in London, and being able to tell the stories that I've already seen, I've already heard. This is a great example of the stories that I'm telling. Believe you me, it has a huge impact internally in BP. We should all feel very proud of what we've already done. We'll feel even prouder about doing it even better tomorrow than we're doing it today.
No one, least of all the award winners, is claiming that there's something unique about their approach to safety. But what struck me, having spoken to them all, is that they put safety at the heart of everything they do.
Well, safety is a form of pride, I suppose, really. But it only takes one moment of complacency or being distracted or defocused and it could happen.
We have a huge responsibility. We have to be safe. We have to be the best.